So week 0 is behind us, and college football will officially start for the second time this coming weekend. Let's give us a preview, and we're going to talk about it. All right, coming up in just a minute. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. And in this video, we're going to give you all our college football predictions, who's going to the playoffs, as well as winning national championship. And maybe there's going to be a sleeper or two in there. Friendly reminder, make sure you check us out on YouTube. We do these on video. And if you're on YouTube, check out the podcast version. If you can't watch the videos, just search Unfair Sports, or you can go to our website, unfair-sports.com. Has all the links to all the syndications. While you're there, like, subscribe, rate, review, comment, and follow on Spotify. And just go ahead and give us those 5 stars, because you know that we deserve it. Because if we don't, just give us those 5 anyway. So it's college football weekend. We open up the show talking about college football weekend. Week 0 just passed. We got to watch Scott Frost take another L at Nebraska as Illinois gave them.
Was that 30-22?
30-22. And Nebraska tried to look like they were going to come back at the end, but I was trying to figure out what the hell happened to Scott Frost when he got over there.
Forget that. How the hell is Martinez still the quarterback? He's got to be like 35 years old.
Right. And I'm actually curious. I didn't even look up to see if he is one of the many super seniors, which is what I'm actually intrigued about this year. So you know about the super seniors, right?
Somewhat.
Let me explain it to you all. So what the super seniors are is that because of COVID-19, the NCAA gave every player in college at that time in 2020 an additional year eligibility. So this year we're going to have a lot of teams with fifth-year seniors playing their 5th year of college football, which is, of course, unheard of. We're not used to players playing this many games, so it's going to be intriguing to see what that type of experience gives us. And at the same time, this year, the super senior did not count against the roster, the scholarships. Okay. Whereas next year, if anybody decides to make a return, it will take away from their 86-man rosters. So because of that, this is the last year that teams can really take advantage of having extra players on the roster and seeing what they can do. So I'm intrigued to see what teams do about this. So there's a few players out there to really think about. Like I saw Charlie Brewer, the quarterback from Baylor. You remember him when he was out there putting in work on OU and before, coach of the Panthers. What's his name?
Matt Rule.
There you go. Rule. Right before Rule, I always forget his last name. Rule left and went to Carolina. He had Charlie Brewer out there eating, and Charlie's now with Utah. He's their starting quarterback. So it's going to be intriguing seeing all of the super seniors and see what happens from that and see if any of them actually make an impact. But let's talk about what the heck is going to happen here with college football season. We're going to do some quick predictions, a little preview show segment on this. Not much to really talk about because college football is so top heavy. It's just, it be what it be. I mean, there's really not much to say. So Jimmy, who do you have in your college football playoff? I don't even want to do conference winners this year. Who you got playoffs?
Take forever. Yeah. The criteria I used to determine who was going to be in the playoff really came down to 2 things. First thing is scheduling. In any sport, your scheduling obviously is going to impact the prognostication of your season, who you play, where you play them, when you play them, things like that. So I looked at schedule first, and I've said this for years, this college football playoff, this is a television show.
Yes.
Made up of 3 different games.
Yes.
So you have to get the right teams and the right matchups for your television show.
Yep.
Right. So I looked at that angle as well to see by the end of it if I could think how the committee's thinking in terms of what they think will be the best matchups and who's likely to also get there because of how their schedule plays out. So I looked at top 4, starting with the 1 seed. I think OU is going to earn the 1 seed, primarily because they don't play a currently ranked team until November 20th against Iowa State, who always seems to cause them problems. So that's going to be a game. I can't quite recall where the game is going to be, but I think that they're going to get the 1 seed. They're going to be hovering around.
They're in Norman.
Okay, in Norman, so that helps them out. So they're going to be hovering around Alabama, who's my number 2 seed. I think that Alabama takes only 1 loss this season. I think that loss could be it's probably going to be to number 6, Texas A&M, on October the 9th. But it's early in the season. This is Alabama. They always get grandfathered into the playoffs somehow. So they're going to be at 2. At 3, I'm going to take Georgia. Now, Georgia, this season, starting with their first game, they got to play Clemson. Then you got to play Auburn, and you got to play Florida in the season. As being an SEC team, I get all that. They're going to lose one of those games. Hopefully it's the earliest game, which would be Clemson, or the one after that. But they're also going to get grandfathered in because I don't know if you've noticed, Georgia always seems to be in the playoff too. And that's for a reason, because they help to provide a very good television show, as we've seen in person. In that game that we don't want to remember at the Rose Bowl against OU in person. All right. So they're the 3 seed and the 4 seed. Surprise team, North Carolina.
What?
Exactly, because they've got the other best quarterback in college football. And when you look at their schedule, they've got a rough patch kind of in the middle of the season where they have Florida State, they have Miami, and they have Notre Dame. I think they could win all of those games. The Florida State game is probably going to be the least tough, but I think Miami's going to be tough. I think Miami opens the season against Alabama, right? Currently 14. And obviously Notre Dame is going to be a tough game as well. They're currently at the 9 spot. But I think that off of the strength and the brilliance that people tell me Sam Howell possesses, he's going to be able to get them through that, and they're going to be able to sneak in into that 4 seed. So what that sets up is maybe by that time, the Heisman Trophy winner, one of these two, you have Sam Howell versus Spencer Rattler, 1 versus 4. So you have that matchup between the two dueling quarterbacks. And then in the middle, you have Alabama and Georgia. And what they become, because they do tend to meet in these college football playoffs, is you kind of have college football's version of Brady versus Manning, just this perennial powerhouse matchup that you really don't ever get tired of, no matter how many times you see it. So I think that this could be them. Yeah. So they're going to be the 2 and 3 seed. So those are my top 4 right there.
So you have Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina?
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was going to ask for a dark horse in there, but it doesn't like you already got one because North Carolina is a dark horse. I would have never guessed them. So keep mine simple. I have at the 1 seed Oklahoma as well. As you mentioned, I look at those same 2 categories: television scheduling and television content. That's what we're looking for. And of course, at the same time, we got to make sure these teams actually win and get there. And we know that they're going to get there. So Oklahoma's my favorite. Not really being a homer on that. As you can see, I'm wearing my Tennessee gear today. I do believe that I think Oklahoma has probably the best team in the country right now with an experienced quarterback to go along with the talent they have, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Their defense has gotten a lot better over the years. They've done nothing but get better and better every year under Grinch, and I think that that's going to make a difference. Number 2, I do have Alabama as well. The thing about Alabama is that I believe they're going to lose one of these games early with either Miami or Florida giving them problems. And potentially, because they've got 4 games to me that's losable. Miami, Florida, not Miami, Florida, but Miami and the University of Florida, right. Texas A&M, as well as Auburn, just because of rivalries and in conference. I don't. There's no guarantee they'll probably end up going undefeated. They got a new quarterback. They also have a new offensive coordinator. So with Bill O'Brien coming into the Nick Saban school of reforming coaches, I don't know what he's going to look like his first year at the helm. Maybe next year, and Bryce is going to be ridiculous next year anyway, but this year I'm not sold on them just yet. But at the same time, they're Alabama.
Okay.
Third, I got Clemson going in there. I don't think that Clemson is going to get stopped. They don't play North Carolina until potentially the conference championship, and I don't know if North Carolina is going to actually make it into the conference championship.
Yep.
And I also see them beating Georgia, knocking them smooth out. And then my last team is going to be so far Ohio State. I think that Ohio State is built for this. They don't really have any competition in conference, really. I mean, they got Minnesota to start the year. They have Oregon, which I think is going to be a lot closer than we expect. And then, of course, Michigan at the end of the year, and they got Penn State. But they should have a borderline cakewalk going in there if they get past Oregon. Now, my dark horse, Oregon, because I looked at scheduling. Oregon, their jerseys is a great TV production. People love their crazy jerseys they have, and people will be willing to watch them. The next thing behind them is that the Pac-12 is completely wide open. And if Oregon can pull off an upset of Ohio State with the nation's top defensive player in Kayvon Thibodeau, they're probably going to national. They're going to go undefeated. If they're going undefeated, there's no way they don't make it to the national championship. Well, they don't make it to the playoffs because if they're undefeated, ain't nobody else going to probably be undefeated besides maybe Oklahoma. So they're going to go. So unless we have 5 undefeated teams, Oregon will go, and I think that knocks Ohio State out of there if they beat them the second game of the season.
I had a couple of other dark horse teams as well. I thought about Cincinnati, who's sitting there at 8, that if they can run the table again, and they're out to get their respect, that maybe this might be a chance to sneak into the 4 spot, something like that. And then I also thought about Iowa State as well. Obviously, in order to solidify that, they would have to beat OU, which they've done before. I don't think they're going to do it this year, but they would have to beat them. But you also have Iowa, their second game at number 18, and you have Texas at 21. Texas is kind of a bit of a wild card, but if they can win those games, those can be quality wins, so long as those two teams are still ranked when they play them, and then you take your chances against OU. So a one-loss Iowa State obviously is not going to get into the national championship conversation as far as the college football playoff, but if they can run the table, they will.
So I think the problem for Iowa, and this is a problem with the Big 12. This is where the Big 12 really screwed up. Yeah. This is how they screwed the pooch, and this is the reason why not only this, also why OU and Texas want to get the hell up out of there. This round robin and then playing in a conference championship game is the stupidest idea in the world. You want to know how stupid this is, Jimmy? I'm going to tell you how stupid this is. If they didn't have that, guess what they could possibly have? What? 2 teams in the playoffs. With Iowa State and Oklahoma, both with 1 loss, run the table. They had a chance of having 2 teams in there. But guess what? It's impossible. It's impossible. Impossible for that to happen this year. Now, there's a chance it could be 1 loss, but it's not going to be because, you need one of them to be undefeated and the other one to have 1 loss. You can't have both of them to have 1 losses and get them both into the playoff. If the Big 12 had it to where they only would have met each other in the conference championship, if Iowa State met Oklahoma and Oklahoma beat them and Iowa State kept it close, there would have been a chance that Iowa State could have got into that 4th spot.
Right.
There would have been a chance.
Right.
But they screwed that. They screwed the pooch. Yeah. Screwed the pooch. So, Heisman, let's talk about that.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. We got to talk about the winner of all that. No. Did you have a dark horse? Do you have any more?
I gave you my 2 dark horses. Okay. I've got title game and I've got championship game. But as far as Heisman's, give me yours first.
So, Heisman-wise, there's no excuse for Spencer Rattler not to win this trophy. He's in the Lincoln Riley system of quarterback excellence, and the way that they're going to play this game, there's really no reason why he shouldn't win this. But there's a chance. I do think there's a dark horse that's going to be in the conversation. 0 chance he wins it. But he'll be in the conversation is going to be Kayvon Thibodeau for Oregon, defensive end. That he's been projected as a top 3 pick in the draft right now, potentially number 1 overall, depending on if Rattler comes out and if people are really still high on Sam Howell. I think Sam will be in there. I think DJU will be there from Clemson. I think he's going to be in the conversation if Clemson produces. But to be honest, I think it's going to be a runaway Oklahoma thing this year.
And I think you also maybe take a look at Derek Stingley Jr., the cornerback out of LSU, to see if, because you're talking about a defensive player in Thibodeau, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at a player like him and all the attention that an SEC team is going to get, if he can look like, because even in his first season when they won the national championship, he was just a fantastic player. Last year, did he opt out? Because I don't really remember hearing much about him last year.
That's a good question. I can't remember. He may have been one of the many opt-outs, but we're going to have a ton of those this year.
But I think there's a chance he could at least make it to New York. I think Spencer Rattler will be there. I think that the quarterback, I cannot pronounce his last name at Clemson. First name DJ, we'll say DJ. DJU could be there.
They call him.
And maybe the quarterback out of UNC, Sam Howell, who they're already talking about. Because, again, this particular award is created by and decided by the media. So it's whoever captures the narrative. So that's what we look at in terms of, usually you and I, when we figure out what the narrative is, we know who's going to win that. We usually can predict all the end of the season awards as far as like MVPs and stuff like that.
Because it's all narrative based, exactly. And it's also regional, especially for Heisman. So the regional people are going to vote for their person. Yeah. If they have a person with a good enough narrative to get across from everybody, they're going to end up getting invited.
But I agree with you. That was a good take on Spencer Rattler. I think that, right now he's in the front runner. He's the best position in order to win this. All he has to do is not turn the ball over. That's all he has to do. And if he does that, he will produce with just those fantastic offensive players around him, benefiting from Lincoln Riley's mind. Just in the lineage of Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield, he can win the Heisman as well. He might actually have the best arm of those 3. I know Kyler Murray's got a really good arm, but You don't think Spencer Rattler's got a better arm than them?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, Kyler's got that baseball arm, but you might be.
That's a good question.
That's a good one to evaluate on. But it's DJ Uiagalelei.
Uiagalelei. Got it.
Yep, Uiagalelei.
That's cool.
I did some digging and try to figure out how to say that name right. I still butcher it every time to start. So I'll say it a lot enough this year.
Yeah, we will.
We will get to it. So national championship game. Who you got?
National championship game. I've got OU taking on Alabama.
Ooh, OU Bama. Mm-hmm. I have OU right now playing against Ohio State.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Big 12 or Big 10 if Ohio State doesn't lose that game to Oregon.
Who is the quarterback of Ohio State? I know they have those two really good receivers.
Stroud just got named the starting quarterback at Ohio State, which is pretty.
Have you seen any film on him?
I've seen a little bit. I also follow RJ Young with Fox, and he talks highly of him. I've seen some of the stuff he's said about him. He's a monster.
Actually, we'll get our first look this Thursday against Minnesota on Fox, right?
Sure will.
Yeah, Ohio State, Minnesota.
Big Ten. So yeah, he's a redshirt freshman too, so he's been there just like Bryce Young. I'm not sure between the two is going to be better, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. So I've got OU going up against, is that possible? Did I have Ohio State fourth or have them third? I had them fourth, so it's not possible.
You have them fourth. Yeah,
I have them fourth, so it's not possible. OU will play them in the first round, so never mind. Mm-hmm. It's the national championship. Let's go ahead and just switch that up. We'll delete this later. I'm kidding. I'm going to keep that up.
Mission.
I'm going to abort mission. No, if that's the case, if I have them fourth, then it's probably going to end up being Alabama too. Mm-hmm. It's going to keep it simple. It'll be 1 versus 2, and then it'll be, I think Oklahoma wins the national championship this year.
This is the year to do it.
There's no excuse. I remember telling me and my buddy talked about this a while ago. We talked about this in 2019 when OU got Spencer Rattler on campus. That was what we talked about, and he was like, we both looked at that OU defense because all of it was young, especially when they got thrashed by LSU. It was a bunch of younger guys that was getting a lot of game time. Mm-hmm. And what that led to was now we have juniors, seniors, super seniors prepare for this season. That makes me believe that OU has a really good chance.
I mean, and looking at OU's schedule,
it's favorable.
That Iowa State game, you just got to take care of business in that game.
That's it. They have a very favorable
That's your
schedule.
season right there.
That's it. They have a favorable schedule. Texas ain't back. No. Sarkisian, he's got a year to get some people in. And yeah, I'm looking at Pro Football Outsiders probabilities. They have 3 games in the 70s, which is Texas, a 71% chance to win, 70% chance to win Iowa State, and a 72% chance to beat Oklahoma State, who's expected to have actually a decent season.
Yeah, they will. They will.
So we'll see what Gundy does across the road. But yeah, I'm going to say, just like you, Oklahoma.